a wild, raunchy threes-up with just little old me. And then another blast of diarrhea spilled out.
Is everything all right in there?
It's fine. Hello, friends. Trace amounts of science. Today we're getting back into Married Mary, because I just gotta find out what happens. I was told that in this episode we're gonna meet the husband that she cheats on all the time, and already I feel pretty bad for him, but I don't actually know what he's like, so probably I should reserve my judgment. Oh, and trust me, there will be judgment, as always. So let's jump into this thing and we'll see how it goes. Married Mary had a little food fight. Oh, 90s high school comedy staple right here. Some people just so media poison that they know that that's something that humans don't do. That's mostly reserved for animals and Hollywood directors, which are essentially the same thing. Anyway, I think I posted enough installments of Mary Mania to forego a full cast description. All you really need to know is that all of us are full-grown theater nerds. Mary is boy-crazy, clingy, and wildly inappropriate. Oh, and also married. She's nevertheless obsessed with a pervy pest that I met during the summer musical. You'll catch on. Trigger warnings for Liquid Duke, and lewd descriptions of male anatomy, and buggery. Oh, buggery, how uncouth. Chapter 7, The Food Fight. Nothing unusual happened over the holidays. My family traveled to the UK to visit my grandparents for a week. I get on well with my family, and the seasonally appropriate snow and drizzle in England was actually a nice change of pace from sunny Southern California, especially at Christmas time. California Christmas time does suck, though. Imagine celebrating Christmas in a soulless, selfish hell pit. And also it never snows. And also it only rains once a year. Anyway, Lucy had started dating a retired band director she'd met when he subbed a class at her school. All of her accounts painted this guy as a bona fide silver fox. And she seemed sweetly smitten. My first reaction is like, ew, age gap, but it ain't my life. We all gotta make our own choices. Of course, novel romance tends to come with a hefty side of anxiety, especially when you're surrounded by maniacs like Mary, and to a lesser extent, R.O.P. In my defense, I hadn't bemoaned any romantic woes for quite some time, but I had previously made the dating scene sound like a menacing minefield of mind games and mendacity. Which it absolutely is. Mendacity does mean lying for those not in the know, but lying, you see, wouldn't fit the alliteration. OP says, I now realize that although I hadn't created the mendacity, I had allowed it. Yes, I should have kicked Dennis to the curb as soon as his affections became inconsistent, but having subsequently dealt with Funky's bunkum, an indecisive dude with commitment issues seemed like a minor annoyance in comparison. I mean, you choose how annoyed you get at the end of the day. I choose not to be annoyed, and how do I stop being annoyed? I stop engaging. But I also understand clinging on for dear life to a relationship that is completely dysfunctional. Sometimes it be that way, especially if you're heavily codependent like myself. You don't know how to exist outside of a relationship. It's not a healthy way to live, but far be it for me to lecture anybody about it, I guess. That's hypocritical. Anyway, as for all of the others, well, George Strait was still dating Megan, and it seemed to be getting serious. George Gay was happily unattached, and so was I. As for Mary, well, it was difficult to say. Whiskers was consistently the scum of the earth by this time, and Scumbanger was her new obsession. She called him her Princey Pooh in the few messages that we'd traded over the holidays. Barf. Yep, pretty cringe. The imp had been dark for the past few weeks, meaning that there were no shows. I'm going to keep the lights on. But a Saturday morning Imp Tunes show was scheduled in early January. This was to be a kiddo-friendly show, and the director forbade Mary to participate. I'm glad the director knows. Avert disaster just in time. Lucy and George Gay were both foul-mouthed and raunchy off stage, but they knew when to simmer down to match the tone of the scene. George Strait was kind of the opposite. He was exceptionally well-mannered off stage, but he could flip a switch and bring forth rivers of raunch if a scene called for it. As for me, I was merely a performer. I could be entertaining on stage through song and dance, but my acting chops were undercooked. Nevertheless, they invited me to be their fourth in the children's show, since I could be trusted to avoid dropping F-bombs or making inappropriate jokes, flashing the audience, getting on stage intoxicated. Cheers to low standards! Thanks so much, Mary. Yeah, all I gotta do is stand here. As long as I don't say the bad words and pull my tits out, everything's gonna be fine. We gathered for a rehearsal on Thursday night, and I was surprised to find myself fitting in and having fun with improv. I always sucked at improv in high school and college drama classes. I'd even taken a drama workshop in LA one summer, and the openly Scientologist instructor told me that I wasn't believable as a human being. Ouch. Yeah, you gotta pay them a few $100s before they'll say something nice about you. But improv somehow came easier when I was amongst friends. Very true, that's why we don't play D&D with strangers, isn't it? As rehearsal was winding down, Mary marched into the theater with Chuck the Cuck, her husband, trailing behind her. I recognized him from some of her Facebook photos, but I honestly hadn't been certain that he was her actual husband until this very moment. Mary, Lucy Goose, how dare you! I just found that video you made of my party! Tell her, Daddy! Chuck, hey Lucy, it's nice to see you again. Mary kicked his leg. All right, okay, listen, my wife was under a lot of stress when I had to go out of town, and the game she was playing helps to calm her, and I don't appreciate you mocking my wife's coping mechanism. Lucy, you're right, Chuck. That was insensitive. I can assure you that there was no malicious intent. We were just really bored, and I tried to find the funny. Well advised, honestly. You can always find the funny if you aren't too caught up in your feelings. Mary whispers, Tell her! She hurt my feelings! Look, you're allowed to feel however you want to feel. But now you're turning your problems into my problems, and I can't pretend to give a shit any longer.
That's not my problem. It's yours.
Lucy says, Mary, you can just talk directly to me. I think maybe we could both benefit from having a conversation. Mary whispers, Tell her she's mean. Chuck, you're mean. Lucy, I got it. Mary, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I'm owning my mistake. Can you please acknowledge that you were a bully to your party guests? We both made bad choices here. Mary stubbornly refused to meet Lucy's eyes as she stood there with her arms folded, pushing her Jupiters right up to under her chin. George Gay, Mary, honey, we talked about this. You said it yourself. Truth or Dare would have been a better party game. Nobody's trying to be mean to you. We were just hella bored. Mary appeared to be getting bored with the discussion of the boredom that her party had induced. Whatever, I'm over it, she said to no one in particular. Yeah, I believe you. But a little smirk crept across her overlined lips because it was time to make the cats squirm. Mary, Oh, Valley Boo! Boy, Georgie, I bumped into your mutual ex last week. He said to tell you both that he'd like to offer you cream! She cackled maniacally. George, pass, OP. Yeah, same for me. Oh, come on, it was such a clever joke because they were both in Cats once upon a time, don't you see? You must not understand the true hilarity of his statements. Chuck says, how the heck do you two have a mutual ex? Mary, oh, they're a couple of deviants. Since I'm a married old lady, they tell me about all their wild escapades. I'm so happy to be settled down. You should hear what went on backstage during the play. I know don't nobody here really know Chuck like that, but I'm gonna blow Mary's cover right now, okay? He deserves to know. You're providing a wonderful life for this thankless pig. It's time to return her to the wild. You might have married her, but she belonged to the streets this whole time.
She is thy for thy streets. So be not wary when she must return from whence she came.
OP says, God damn it, this was infuriating. Both of us were already embarrassed by what went on at that cast party, and those bad decisions had been grossly exaggerated by the perverted theater grapevine. Now this nebbish outsider was getting yet another twisted version of these embarrassing events, and Married Mary was running around bragging about boning the source of the embarrassment, but nobody had the balls to rat her out. Why not? I'll hang her out to dry right now. I'm gonna fuck. Chuck says, oh, I see. Well, thanks for keeping my wife entertained. Mary wrapped her arms around her hubby's neck and pulled him into a loud, sloppy kiss that lasted for an uncomfortably long time and probably tasted like strange dicks.
Nasty!
Lucy, George, Gay, and I began gathering our belongings, hoping that we could sneak out while Mary was lost in this icky kiss. George Strait had noped out as soon as Mary marched in, and yeah, he had the right idea. He's a wise fellow. But one of the theater volunteers interrupted our attempt at a stealthy exit when he said, You guys done for the night? I'm getting ready to lock up. Mary broke free from the sloppy embrace. Hot pink lipstick smeared all over her face, and she screeched, They're not done for the night! I still need my apologies! Chuck, also with hot pink lipstick smeared on his baby face, cooed to Mary, Sweetums, I feel like they said they were sorry. It sounds like maybe they were just expecting a different kind of party, and they don't know you like I do. Why don't we head home? I'd be happy to watch my widow Pookie Pie play her pooter games. Ugh, fucking disgust me. Chuck doesn't deserve this type of treatment, but the baby talk sort of sways me a little bit. Can we just drag him out back and kick the shit out of him until he stops talking like a baby? Might be worth a shot. Mary cooed, Oh, you're my hero. Take me home so I can suckle my chuckle. Oh, God. And then there was another loud, long, sloppy kiss. The rest of you can kiss my humps. I'll see you at brunch on Saturday after the show. Lucy, you owe me. Oh, you slap in the mouth, maybe. How the hell did she even know about the brunch plans? Lucy wanted to introduce all of us to her silver fox, and she wanted to do that without Mary, so the poor guy didn't run away screaming. Lucy did not date indiscriminately, you see. On top of that, she had a horrendously disappointing crush in recent memory. If she felt confident introducing her silver fox to all of us, that meant she was taking this relationship seriously. And I could certainly understand why she wanted to keep the first introduction Mary-free. But I guess that was not to be. Yeah, this is the true test. Can you stand my weird theater nerd friends? Yeah, most of them. Except that fat one. She's really weird. Saturday rolled around, and the Imptoons show was a bunch of fun. The kids seemed to like it. Mary wasn't there to cause mayhem. Mo wasn't there to give anybody the creeps. No absurdity to report, so let's just fast forward to brunch. But before I fast forward, I want to say I'm so glad that Mo wasn't there around the kids. Good God. We met at a rather upscale restaurant on the other side of town. Lucy looked stunning in a rockabilly dress and a retro hairdo. I had forgone my typical emo attire and arrived in simple black slacks with a teal blue cardigan. I called this my adult costume. George Strait showed up with Megan, who was just as lovely as I remembered. Everyone introduced themselves to Silver Fox, who seemed excited to meet all of us, and he seemed to be quite taken with Lucy, which made me incredibly happy for her. Silver was in the middle of telling us about how he'd spent over a week working up the nerve to call Lucy when we heard that familiar voice. Yoo-hoo! Lucy Goose, Valley Boo, Boy Georgie, Engorge George, Man Thief, Old Dude! I have arrived! Okay, as soon as she comes over and sits down at the table, we're all gonna get up and move tables. Maybe she'll get the message. Mary clomped over to our table in very high, chunky heels and a short, tight, plunging cheetah print dress. Even if her attire had fit properly, she would have still looked comically out of place in this respectable establishment. She flagged down a server and semi-sweetly commanded, "We'll be needing 2 more seats here. Thank you." Lucy, "Oh, hey, Mary. This is Silver Fox." Lucy leaned closer to Mary and whispered, "Don't you dare embarrass me." Mary, "Oh, I'll be on my most marvelous behavior, milady. My Princey Pooh is meeting me here." Yeah, are you sure you wouldn't prefer a private booth or something? I hear they got a real nice slop bucket out back. You might be more comfortable. George Gay and I were, of course, both horrified. Scumbanger! Dang, we probably shouldn't have said that so loudly. Mary, "His name is Royal. You bitches are just bitter because you couldn't get seconds." Yes, I'm sure that's exactly what it is. She jiggled her Jupiters and tossed her hair as she settled into the chair that the server brought over. OP quietly, "I did not want seconds." George also quietly, "Me neither. It's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway." You know what scumbaggers' farts sound like? I laughed as discreetly as I could and muttered, "He probably ran a train before he showed up to that cast party." George started snickering and Mary started fuming. Mary, "Stop smack-talking my precious Princey Pooh!" God, does anybody just have a piece of piano wire or something? We could shut her up right now, forever. George says, "Mary, that guy has the emotional sensitivity of a walnut. Val and I don't hate him because of that stupid rumor. We hate him because of the way he treated Tink. And he's gonna do the same thing to you. Do not catch feelings for him." Mary, "Too late. His regal rooster makes me slick in the snatchy all day. And I'm gonna let him bend me over and ram his enormous rock hard." You know what? I cannot abide this anymore. I love a champagne mimosa brunch as much as the next man. But I think I'm gonna go find a more private table. I don't want to talk about this. I can't even eat my sausage links now. Lucy said, "Mary, stop! Please! Could we have some couth for once? We're not at Filthy McNasty's." George straight, "She's right, Mary. We're trying to get to know Silver. Maybe let the guest of honor talk." Silver, "Guest of honor? Way to make a guy feel welcome. But I have to admit that this is a fascinating topic of conversation. Mary, is it?" Mary, "Yes, Mr. Foxy." "It's not fascinating." Turns out Silver Fox is just as weird as the rest of the people at the table. Okay, fine. But me, personally, far too prude for this shit. I gotta go. Silver Fox says, "It sounds like you've got yourself a new beau. As something of a new beau myself," he adorably took Lucy's hand, "I'd love to hear what you ladies say before he arrives." No, trust me, if they tell you everything, you're gonna want some fisticuffs in the parking lot. "I'll take you out back and cauliflower your ear, bully!" Mary says, "Well, my ex is a vile turd. He couldn't keep his prick in his pants, and my new boo is actually Valley and Georgie's ex-boo because he swings both ways." She swung her lumpy legs and her chunky heels into the empty seat next to her. "But he's a literal prince. I let him use my face as a throne and he humps my lumps while I polish his salty bum-bum with my tongue. "Ma'am,
what are we doing?" And she just started eating my fucking ass, bro, just going to town on that shit.
Oh my God. I'm out, dude. I'm so done. Is Silver Fox just trying to be polite? Is he looking for tips on dating younger women? Gets out his little notepad. "Well, they all seem to have a fascination with the butthole." Yeah, they do. Thanks a lot, porn industry. "Then he gets his regal rocks off and he licks his own pearly elixir off my heaving bosom." This is fucking despicable. She gasped like an adult film star and slid her hands down her body, throwing her head back in unbridled ecstasy at the very thought of whatever the fuck that was she just described. You're free to do whatever you want in the privacy of your own home, but you don't drag it out here, especially in the cold light of day. What the fuck? That is despicable. Lucy was slumped in her seat, with her face buried into her free hands. George Strait was laughing out loud and making no effort to conceal it, presumably because Megan had started laughing uncontrollably while Mary was singing the praises of Scumbanger's bedroom prowess. It is really tough not to laugh the first time you hear Mary's unnecessarily explicit praises of her new man's, skills. I mean, recycling your own pearly paste, not really a skill set. If Chris Chan can do it, anybody could do it. But anywho, George Gay and I were laughing because we both knew that Mary was lying. To put it delicately, Scumbanger was a lazy lay, who was really only impressive to first-timers like Tink or delusional, pathological liars like Mary. I found myself wondering what Whiskers was really like in bed. Oh, wait, what? Why the hell did that thought popped into my head? Gross. I suppose it's natural to be curious, but not to worry. Soon enough, you shall unveil these horrors for yourself. Silver, I see the theater scene hasn't changed much. And it's boo instead of bow now? Yeah, write that down in your little notebook. The snail trail was bussin' for real, for real. Lucy, bow is classier. Silver, then I'll stick with bow. Mary, don't you want to hear more about Royal's majestic cat? Every single person at the table snapped in unison. No! Mary, fine! I'll just sext my Princey Pooh, since you'd all rather pay attention to Lucy's old dude. Lucy, if you're into Mr. Foxy, why didn't you ever hump Mo? Yes, they're the same age. They're basically the same person, aren't they? And Lucy sighed audibly and almost growled at Mary as she replied, because Mo is nasty. It has nothing to do with age. I invited everyone here so they could meet Silver, not talk about fucking Beetlejuice. And Silver was just telling a truly enjoyable story, so let's let him continue. She put her elbows on the table and batted her eyes at him. Silver, thank you, dear. Shall I continue? And indeed, we all indicated the affirmative. Silver said, well, I practiced talking to her voicemail about 10 times. I had the speech down pat, but she actually picked up when I called, and I had no idea what to say. Just pretend to be senile. It's probably not that far from the truth. Hello? Do you have tapioca and applesauce? I don't live here. Who are you? Stop calling my house! It was endearing to hear an older man openly admitting to his dating insecurities. I'd even say that it was refreshing to hear any human, male or female, young or old, admit to being nervous about reaching out to someone that they're crushing on. Everyone except Mary was smiling and laughing. Mary was rudely ignoring the guest of honor and staring intently at her phone screen, willing Scumbanger to send her a message back, although this was unlikely to happen. At a certain point, why are you even here? Okay, you're never alone with a phone, great. But if you're not going to interact with anybody, stop fouling up the atmosphere. The server came by to refill our mimosas and coffees and to see if anyone needed anything, and you'll never guess what happened. Mary said, I do! I need my own bottomless mimosa, and I'll have eggs Benedict and a Denver omelet and an English muffin with butter and jam, spinach salad with fried chicken strips and hot bacon dressing, and a Cosmopolitan, and put it all on my Lucy Goosey's tab. Lucy says, no, absolutely not. I'm on Silver's tab, and he is not paying for your feast. No, let her do it. All the eggs and fried stuff, eventually her heart will stop up. Guarantee you married Mary ain't making it to 40. Mary says, "But you owe me! You made that horrible video that hurt my feelings! Buy me brunch and we'll call it even!" Lucy said, "Okay, that's kinda fair. I am sorry that the video hurt your feelings, so I'll buy you 1 mimosa and 1 entree." Then Silver butts in, he's like, "That's right, I'm on the Social Security. I'm not Daddy Warbucks over here. Besides, it doesn't look like you need all that food. Your diet starts today, fatty." It is generous of Lucy to offer some food and drink as reparation. But of course, Mary's gonna figure out a way to try and circumvent that diet. She says, "Okay, put my mimosa and egg benedict on their tab, and Boy Georgie can buy me my omelet, and Valley Boo can buy me an English muffin since she's my muff sister now, and Engorged George can buy me a salad with hot bacon." She lecherously winked at George Strait, who looked away and drained his mimosa in response. Oh, dear God. "My Princey Pooh can buy me my Cosmo whenever he gets here." You really have to take from everybody at the table. What do you actually give? What do you offer as a human being? She's just gonna point to her boobs, but at a certain point that isn't good enough. You'd be surprised how little of a contribution it actually is. The server just, looked away uncomfortably. God, why did I come back to this table? Silver says, "You know what? Just put the whole order on my tab. I don't want to start any drama, as the kids say." Oh God, stop it, stop it. You're trying to keep up with the slang and you're still 2 decades behind. Just please, for the love of God. We all started objecting to Silver's generosity, and each of us agreed to buy Mary 1 item. I've been a server before, so yeah, this must have been hella awkward and confusing. And since the rest of us had been there a bit longer than Mary had, a runner arrived with our food just as the server finished taking Mary's mammoth order. Without asking, Mary reached across the table and grabbed some fruit off of Lucy's plate, and Lucy gave her the stare of death. Stab her in the hand with the fork. Get her twice if you can. She ain't gonna do that again, I guarantee it. Silver says, whoa, hang on there, Mary." He laughed nervously, appearing unsure as to whether or not this was a joke. "Let's not take without asking, Mary." "You're not my daddy!" She threw the handful of fruit at Silver and stormed off into the ladies' room in tears. What a devolution, man. How did it become a handful of fruit all of a sudden? She just scooped it off Lucy's plate, yeeted it into her date's face. You can write that one down, Silver. Yeeted. It means to throw something quickly. The past tense is yoked. It's usually a verb. Are you getting all this? So now what's supposed to happen after this big climax? Somebody goes and chases after Mary? I just don't think it's going to happen. I'd be like, good, she's gone. Somebody texts her boyfriend and also ask him not to come. Now everything's solved. Now we can have a nice time. Silver brushes the fruit off of his sleeve. "Well, it's certainly been a long time since I've been in a food fight." Who's actually been in a food fight? Come on, old man. Only in America, I'll tell you that much. Lucy mutters, "I'm gonna freaking kill her." A woman who appeared to be the manager rushed over to the table. Manager, "Sir, is everything okay?" Silver, "Oh yes, quite all right. Just reliving the school cafeteria." Manager to Lucy, "Ma'am, we'll bring you another cup of fruit in just a minute." Lucy, "Thank you. I don't blame the service, though. That woman is just insane." Manager, "Would you like us to have her escorted out?" Lucy thought for a moment. No, thank you. If she makes another scene, though, feel free to tase her. What is this one more? What are you doing, Lucy?
Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?
We could have ended all of this right now, and you chose not to. It's time for Mary to learn what consequences are. Manager says, "Tase her, I don't think we have the authority." Lucy says, "I'm just kidding. Feel free to escort her out if she's unruly again. We enjoyed about 10 or 15 minutes of pleasant conversation, but then Mary's many plates of food arrived, and we debated going to retrieve her from the ladies. And you know, a good person would do that. But a person like myself might just say, hey, everybody eat what you paid for. It becomes a zero-sum game. I made a YouTube video about you. You threw some fruit at my date. We've both been offended. There's nothing to apologize for. I don't know if you could logic her around that way, but that's what I might try. But it seems like this friend group is a good friend group. So instead of divvying up the food and eating it, they decide to retrieve her indeed. And Lucy says, do we think that she's calmed down enough? Is she still in the bathroom, or has she left to meet up with her imaginary boyfriend? Rock, paper, scissors for who goes to the bathroom to check on her. That's not how you do it. 1, 2, 3, not it. OP says, I knew this had to be me. Mary was sure to lash out at Megan if she tried to fetch her, since Megan had stolen her engorged George. And this was Lucy's event, and I wanted her to be able to enjoy the company of her new beau as much as she could, now that Mary had crashed the party. So I ventured to the ladies' room and called out to Mary. Mary? Valley Boo! I'm in the handicap stall! Low-hanging fruit. This is a low-hanging fruit. Can you come in? No. Mary, the door's locked. I can just talk to you from out here. Mary, you just crawl under the door. Pretend you're a cat. I need you. This is so fucking funny. Don't do it. Please, OP. Don't do it. You know she's going to. For some reason, everybody here bends to Mary's will. I understand she's a large personality, but yes, challenge her often. Bully her often. Send the message you will not be treated like this. Or end the friendship cold. Oh, peace is nice. So nice. Then again, I guess maybe ladies' room generally not as dirty as men's room. I mean, it's a public bathroom. It's disgusting. But, you know, there's not as much pee on the floor, is what I'm saying. OP says, fine. I bent down and checked for feet in the adjoining stall, not wanting to creep out some random stranger. The stall was unoccupied, so I slid under the door, only to find Mary doubled over on the toilet, butt floss around her ankles, crying hysterically. What is this? There are certain scenes that just feel like, you know, an out-of-body experience. This is one of those. OP says, oh, no, are you sick, Mare? Mary, he hasn't texted me back. Wow. And then I heard a river of something dump into the toilet. God, dude. This is horrible. Mary wiping her eyes with the toilet roll. I took a laxative so Royal could go up my bee-hole later. I assume he prefers the back door. We're Eskimo sisters now. You could tell me. Just let me out. Just scream, this place is a fucking prison, and kick the door open. Like, don't explain any further, you know? It'll get you out of the situation. It's fine. OP says I placed a finger under my nose, and it did little to help. I really wish George Gay had been there to confirm what I was about to tell her. Scumbanger is a bottom with boys, and he seems to like the front door just fine with girls. The whole thing was just standard issue vanilla. I promise you. That's right, slightly promiscuous, but as vanilla as could be. Mary says, my boy Georgie was boofing Princey Poo up the hunky boo while he was nailing you, right? I don't know what any of that means. I exhaled sharply through my nose. No, George wasn't in the room. Have you seriously sat around trying to imagine that shit? Mary giggled. I might have. So I'm gonna give His Royal Highness the best of both worlds. He can have a wild, raunchy threes-up with just little old me. And then another blast of diarrhea spilled out.
Is everything all right in there?
It's fine.
OP says, Mary, are you sure this is a real thing with him? Mary started crying again, pooing a little with each hysterical sob. I've been sexting him since the Christmas show, and yes, I'm sure. OP, okay, then he's apparently changed his ways since last summer. Listen, your food's on the table, so, I don't know, feel free to come back as soon as you're feeling better. I turned to leave, and Mary said, Wait! Whiskers told me that his best friend's bi. You know Whiskey Whiskers a little, right? Could you text him and ask if his friend would like to have a intimate time with us? That's right, everybody's in the mix. We're making a big pot of fuck soup. OP says, I really don't feel like I know Whiskers well enough to ask him that, but I know him well enough to do pretty much guarantee that he'd feel super weird asking his buddy to bone his former lover and some smarmy rando. Mary, Royal is not a rando! OP, not to you, not to me, unfortunately, but he is a rando to some friend of your ex's that nobody's ever met. Being a rando is, well, it's relative, Mary. Please, Valley! Sploosh. I deserve to get some princey poo prick. I deserve more princey poo prick. The very idea of deserving another person's privates, never mind. I mean, if you won't say it, OP, then I will. It's disgusting. It's disgusting! There's only one sin in my eyes, and that is to not negatively affect another person's autonomy as they travel through life. There you go. Happiness and and all that other shit, but that is the major one. Anyway, OP continues, there was no reasoning with her, and I was sick of standing around smelling her laxative-induced watery dumps. Please don't take me for like a prissy, heartless monster. If Mary had been genuinely sick, I would have said nothing about the Rhea, and I would have helped her. Within reason. Delivering Pepto. Maybe bringing a change of clothes if she pooed on herself. Calling a doctor and sitting with her if things were really severe. As it was, I would say that this was a flagrant violation of the social contract. Isn't there a clause in there somewhere forbidding people to insist that their friends stand in a stall and listen to them whinge as they sit on the loo with the self-induced trots? I'm pretty sure that's Title 18, subsection 1573C. I believe it is the second clause in there, although no legal precedent has been set for this very specific situation, so we're up in the air. As I sit, I wouldn't have gone in there in the first place. None of this would have occurred. So I told her a version of what she wanted to hear just to get myself out of that hell stall. Okay, Mary, I'll go talk to George and get his thoughts on helping you get Royal back in bed. She sniffled and nodded. I scurried out from under the stall door. No, you don't do that. You walk out, unlock it and open it. She is going to tell you not to, and you say, go screw. I washed my hands. I spritzed some perfume on myself because I didn't want to carry that stench with me. And I ignored Mary's screeching insistence that I owed her my travel spray because I had the privilege of taking a ride on the Royal Express before she did. Really just any perceived slight for you, huh? It seems to me that the world functions a lot in that way these days. OP returns to the table and chugs a glass of water to wash down the vom that had appeared in her mouth, after Mary lewdly reminded her of one of the most regrettably idiotic things she had ever done. Yeah, you go through life, you learn lessons. It is what it is. Lucy says, is she coming out? OP says, she's not feeling well and she's not faking it. I promise. The remainder of brunch was pleasantly free of outlandish impropriety, since Mary never came out of the ladies' room, and Scumbanger, shockingly, never showed up. Hey, look, some problems do solve themselves. And as things wound down, I went back to check on the scorned woman. Yeah, she might be dehydrated and dead in there. She's only been drinking Mountain Dew for the past 30 years. She's probably having kidney failure. She could drop at any moment. OP says, yeah, she was still sobbing over being stood up by Princey Poo, but she said her tummy troubles had passed. I slid the many orders that the server had packed up under the stall door, adamantly refused to crawl into the stall again, and took my leave. Hey, look, that sliver of spine is growing day by day. Proud of you. Dealing with Mary was fucking draining, and I sometimes felt like a terrible person for lacking the stamina to tolerate her clinginess for extended periods of time. Don't let her guilt you into that. This is already superhuman levels of patience. Do you not understand? Especially if you made it into the video this far. Can I sneak another little Patreon plug in there? If you'd sign up, it would be so great. We're taking some bold ventures on YouTube. We might not be on here forever. YouTube membership's always appreciated too, but Patreon is where I'll be after I'm dead. Or something like that. OP continues, there was no doubt in my mind that Mary needed professional help. Yeah, I think we could all agree. I couldn't offer it to her personally because of ethical boundaries and the fact that I was a half-baked therapist at that point, but I started planning to find a gentle way to refer her to one of my contacts in the mental health field. Spoiler alert, she wasn't very receptive. I'm a mess and I like it! Leave me alone! Okay, I'm glad to leave you alone then. Her odd behavior was everyone else's fault, you see? Whenever someone had the balls to stand up to her and refuse the myriad unreasonable demands that she barked, that person was cruel and selfish. Yeah, much like the thing you've demanded of me. Live in the way that you want to live and don't let Mary or anybody else tell you that you shouldn't do it that way. As long as you're not affecting another person negatively. OP says, personally, I thought of it as, self-preservation and self-respect. But then again, my perspective was from the twisted, selfish mind of a mean girl who expected her adult friends to go poo-poo by themselves. That's a big ask. Also, give me a perfume. You got a few dollars I could borrow? Just suck up everything possible. She's awful. In a lot of ways, she's worse than Funky P. She falls more into the Moby Vic archetype, I guess, but without being outwardly violent like Moby Vic, she manipulates every situation to the point where, the people that will stand up to her don't want to be around her. The people that do bend to her will, begrudgingly or not, end up still hanging around her forever and enabling this, and it just becomes a giant feedback loop. So no wonder she likes it how it is, because this is the way that benefits her. At least for now. Eventually a brick wall will come and she'll be forced to learn a lesson. But even then, I'm doubtful that she's all that capable of cognitive thought. This seems to be just like, directed stimuli. This is her response to negative stimuli. This is her response to positive stimuli. It's like the whole way that we go through life. Anyway, I'm making all kind of hypotheses here. Trace about society's for reals. Survey says, let your friends go poo-poo by themselves, okay? OP says, so that's it for Married Mary for now. It's not fun anymore, and since I don't know if I'll be revisiting, let me spoil some stuff. Oh, here we go. Mary does eventually get professional help, and is now a beautiful, functional member of society. Mo never learned, Funky never changed. I finally got over Dennis, and if you were enjoying this story, I see you, and I've got you. DM me on Discord, and I'll send you to my personal website. The story needs reworking, and I need a break. Take all the time you need, OP. Lord knows I do. But it's always good to have Mary. She's getting more enraging by the story. But surely a breaking point will come, and soon. But we got quite a ways to go, because part number 8 is broken up into 3 parts. I'm looking forward to that little mini arc. And before we know it, this thing will be all wrapped up in style. Thanks for riding with me, friends. Again, join the Patreon, please. YouTube membership's also cool. You can't afford it? That's fine. Just remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye.